Hello everybody, welcome to Wine World TV, the best wine show anywhere. I'm your host, Mark Fusco. Before we get started, make sure you're smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel. Every like and subscription really helps build the channel. Even better, spread the word to your friends about the best wine show anywhere. All right, continue with my next set of LIFO wines. This time we take a look at Davis Bynum. This wine is a free sample and I have free reign to review it however I wish. Let's stop right there. I thought I was reviewing something different because I didn't look at the wine as I'm doing everything. I set it up thinking that this was going to be my first wine of the set of 4 I'm doing right now. And I actually poured it and started tasting it and liking it. And then I, for whatever reason, said, wait a minute, this is not the Argentine wine it's supposed to be. The clue should have been when I grabbed it and I saw the label facing me. But anyway, so to explain why I already have wine in here. So I have already tasted it, and bottom line, it tastes good. All right, and now it makes more sense because it really tastes like California wine. All right, so Davis Bynum is a winery that I only have a vague familiarity with. I know the name and I know they make good wines, but that's really about it. So it's probably going to be a bit of embarrassing how little I will know about them. Like many wines, I may or may not have tasted these in the past, well, because I just did. I wouldn't be surprised if I tasted either of the samples I've gotten at an event or as a part of a blind. Now let's get to know more about the winery, shall we? So Davis Bynum started out as a journalist with the San Francisco Chronicle in the 1940s after graduating from UC Berkeley with a history degree in 1945. Being in San Francisco afforded him the ability to frequently visit Napa Valley. His father, Lindley, is the main reason for his visits, as he had purchased a vineyard in Napa in the 1950s. Not only that, Lindley was a fellow historian and wine judge at state fairs. So the wine bug definitely was in the family. He even wrote a book called California Wines and How to Enjoy Them. That's Lindley. And his contemporaries included Lee Stewart of Souverain Cellars and Andrei Chalachev of BV. Souverain is another winery with what seems to be a storied history that I probably should look into. Not sure about the current quality, but I see their name pop up pretty frequently. Anyway, Davis tried his hand at being a home winemaker for quite a while, even buying grapes from Robert Mondavi at least once. So Davis, along with his father, definitely had some iconic people to look to for advice. Eventually, Davis would decide to make wine for reals. So in 1965, he started his winery, but it wasn't in Sonoma, but near Berkeley in the town of Albany. Eventually, he bought a vineyard in 1971 that would eventually become Whitehall Lane and would make his wine from those grapes in Albany. Now, after a couple years, he and his wife, Dorothy, moved to Sonoma County in the Russian River Valley. This was 1973, and with 83 acres, he built the current Davis Bynum winery at age 40. Like many new wineries, they needed to source fruit before their own vines would be viable. So he bought grapes from another eventual iconic winery and vineyard, Rocchioli. Now, I've heard of them for sure. They are kind of the OGs of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir in the Russian River Valley. Okay, maybe there's some other ones, but they've been there for a long time. Another OG vineyard to know from back then on the same road as Davis Bynum and Rocchioli is Bacigalupi. I've known about them for quite a while, but I've rarely had any of the wines from them, either from the estate itself or from other wineries using their fruit. But I can say that they are all killer wines. But what happened to the Whitehall Lane vineyard, though? Well, from what I can tell, Davis sold it by 1979 to two brothers, Art Finkelstein and Alan Steen, his stage name from when he was a musician. Now they eventually built the Whitehall Lane winery. They had sold it in 1993 to another family, the Leonardini family, who still own it today. Anyway, the grapes that Davis got in 1973 would become the first single vineyard designate Pinot Noir from Russian River Valley, before it was even an AVA. The grapes from Rocchioli, as the story goes, were being sold for $150 a ton to the likes of Gallo and other bulk wine producers. But Davis offered $350 a ton for the whole lot. After that, the quality of Russian River Pinot was being recognized. So to say that Davis was a pioneer in his own right is an understatement. The winery would become known for high-quality wines from then on. Another well-known name associated with Davis Bynum is Gary Farrell. He was hired in 1978 to be the winemaker. While working for Davis, he would also begin his own namesake label. Gary credits Davis for allowing him to do both. Eventually, Davis sold the winery to Tom Klein of Rodney Strong. Tom had owned Rodney Strong since 1989, and Davis felt that Tom had what it took to continue his legacy. In researching for this episode, I didn't realize how committed Rodney Strong, the winery, is to sustainability, but this is also par for the course with Sonoma wineries. As far as I know, 100% of wineries in Sonoma County are certified as sustainable. Anyway, I knew Rodney Strong made some quality wines along several price points, but I didn't know a whole hell of a lot about them. Other wines that are under the Rodney Strong umbrella are Knotty Vines, not naughty, but Knotty, Knotty, and Rowan Wine Company. I can attest to the quality of Rowan. I won't go deep into their history, but you can check out the link below. There are lots of links to check out, by the way. Now, the current winemaker, Greg Morthole, has been at the helm since 2010. Greg started at Rodney Strong in 2005, and he is described as continuing Davis's legacy of, quote, bold innovation in the vineyard and in the cellar. Greg says that he is mostly a low-impact winemaker, saying that 98% of the work is done in the vineyard and at fermentation. The winery uses the phrase, quote, let the land speak, in several spots of the website. From my research, this is in line with Davis's philosophy. He practiced being sustainable before it was a thing. The main vineyard is called River West, 335 acres planted to Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Sauvignon Blanc. They also source from Dutton Ranch, yet another killer set of vineyards and also a winery. Today's wine comes from the River West vineyard. According to the website, the vineyard soil is predominantly Yolo sandy silt loam. Yeah, I had to look that one up too. YOLO, we all know, is you only live once, but that's not what this means. YOLO soil is associated with Yolo County, California, rather than Sonoma County, but I guess you can have it in multiple places. I have a link for you soil nerds below. Greg also says that there is also a pocket of gravelly Cortina soil in one block. Had to look up that one too. I won't bore you with the details, just know that it's a well-drained soil like YOLO. Another soil nerd link for that below. Other than that, let's get the stats for this wine. The 2022 Davis Bynum River West Chardonnay, suggested retail price $30. From California, Russian River Valley, Sonoma County. 100% Chardonnay. They use clones 4, 5, 72, 76, 809, and Spring Mountain. From the River West Vineyard. Harvest was from August 17th to August 24th. Soil is well-drained silt loam with gravelly areas. Aging 11 months in French and Hungarian oak barrels. It's vegan, certified vegan. Its ABV is 13.5%, the pH is 3.27, and the acidity is 6.5 grams per liter. The back labels of both wines have some great info. I combined it with the text sheet on the website. The text sheet does say that 35% of the barrels are new. It also says 12 months aging. Not sure if harvest is by hand or machine. The Pinot specifies that both are used, but those grapes are sourced from multiple vineyards. Let's get into the wine for a second time. Now, looking at the stats, this makes a little more sense because the other wine was kind of used barrels and not barrels. And I'm like, I kind of get barrel out of this, but it's not heavy-handed. So 35%, it's in some ways Burgundian. So Burgundy, as a general rule, does not use a lot of new oak. If you get into the Grand Crus and stuff like that, you can get some new oak. But this is what, 35%? Well, aging for 11 months in French and Hungarian oak barrels, and it didn't say. And then 35% of the barrels are new. Well, we don't know if it's French or Hungarian, but that makes a lot more sense because the wine that I was tasting didn't quite match what I thought it was. Didn't quite match the stat sheet. So, pat on the back for me for not going completely screwed up and trying to salvage myself. All right, so color. Definitely yellow, not deep yellow, but got some good yellow. Now with white wines, when you do this, the edge almost always looks like watery. So you kind of have to just kind of look at the shoulders. If I look at it head on, it's still a pretty good color. I'll call it medium style, medium color. There's a touch of green to it. I have the blue screen up, so it's not like I have green reflecting onto here, but it's like a green hue to it. So that makes it kind of a youthful thing if you're trying to evaluate age without knowing what it is. All right, let's go a little smell here. Clean and sound, as the kids say when it comes to exams. I get lots of yellow golden apple. I don't really get much of the other apples. It's very fresh in nature. It's ripe, not super ripe. It is like you just picked it at the perfect ripeness, and you got that smell. It has a little bit of wax too. Yeah, I didn't get that the first time I did it. I get a little bit of popcorn on the nose, and a little bit of crushed rock. There isn't much else going on aromatically. It's just like that crushed rock, a little bit of popcorn. That's like dead giveaway. It's Chardonnay because it's the only grape that ever has that. And that yellow golden apple. Another thing that, now you can't have golden apple or, in wines, but Chardonnay kind of is the one that has it, more than really any other stuff. You can get green apple from some other things, but apple is really a lot in Chardonnay. You can get apple in some other white wines, but yellow apple specifically, yeah. So if I got yellow apple and popcorn, it's no doubt it's Chardonnay. I mean, as far as anything I would be tested on. And there is a bit of creaminess. So that's when the first time I tasted, I was like, man, I feel like I have some barrel on it. But then the stats didn't really say anything that I was, not to the extent of new barrel. So there's a bit of creaminess, almost like a vanilla quality to it. But let's get on the palate, because that's really where a lot of stuff is. Well, more stuff is. All right, this is absolutely American Chardonnay. I'm not saying that the Chardonnay I thought it was, which is Argentina, won't taste like this, but this is actually classic American California Chardonnay. That golden apple now is that really ripe, fresh ripe, not super sugary sweet, but it has that great sweetness of an apple. You just bit into it. Got a little bit of that skin contact. Got a little bit of that grippiness from the skin. A little bit of waxiness to it. The popcorn is gone. There might be a bit of a corn quality, maybe a corn bread, but it's really subtle. Even on the second go around here, it's not a whole lot. The crushed rock is there. I do get a kind of like a little bit of peach, a little bit of other apples like red apple, not quite green apple, but there's a juiciness that way. I don't really get pear. Pear is you tend to have apples and pears at the same time. I don't really get any of that. There's a bit of creaminess to it. And so I don't know how much malolactic went through. The acidity is, not super high, but it's, on the higher level. The pH is, 3.27. That's a good pH. So there's definitely a bit of bite to it, but it's not like, Chablis, like linear per se. It's a little more broad. And like the Bearson are like baking spices. The wine is good. It's really tasty. And especially at the suggested retail price. What was it? What was that suggested retail price? $30? Yeah. It's absolutely a $30 bottle of wine. It's really good. And yes, granted, this is, it's not Davis Bynum anymore. He sold it off to not a conglomerate by any means, but sold off to a larger winery that makes a lot of stuff. But I mean, the quality's there, man. $30 absolutely is worth it. It is a delicious Chardonnay, and I say it all the time. If I compliment a Chardonnay, it must be really good, because Chardonnay is not my favorite variety, though I do go through phases where I kind of enjoy Chardonnay for a while. I'm like, oh yeah, Chardonnay is actually good. And then I go through my other phase like, it's all right. I'd rather drink something else when it comes to white wine. But this is good. I like it. The very first episode of all this stuff, I probably have already mentioned that I'm doing all my stuff at room temperature. This is also room temperature. You chill this a little bit, it's going to improve things. The fact that it's still really tasty and really good, and the expressiveness of it at room temperature, this is one of the reasons why I want to do room temperature wines. That's going to show quality winemaking. If the wine is poorly made, and I'm drinking at room temperature, red or white, you're going to get more likely get those flaws, those inconsistencies, those little things that they're going to peak out. When you chill, especially white wine, when you chill it to be like 50 something degrees, things get muted a little bit. But this is delicious wine. If you can find this wine, you should get it. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. If you enjoy what I'm doing here, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and then tell your friends, and we'll see you next time.